You know who deserves love? Calgary Flames.
And Jacob
The Calgary
Markstrom.
Flames. And Jacob Markstrom goes back-to-back, stands on his head last night, and they went 3-1.
My prediction was way off. And you know what? If I'm Tree and I'm watching that game, I think there would be some level of disappointment. It was like, 4 games left and you guys actually played with some stones and had some urgency and you had some kind of identity. The goaltender was stellar. It was like what they put together last night was a recipe and a style that you can win with and that you can go home and hold your head up and be like, we're a hockey team. We're the real deal. Win or lose, that's what we bring to the table. And they bring it with 4 games left. Well, that would piss me off.
Yeah, I think what pisses you off is that you lost to Chicago, where if you won that, you'd be sitting in a much prettier position.
And if there was a quarter of that, only needed a quarter of it against Chicago, but they were just out to lunch.
Well, how about, there's going to be lots of excuses, and we'll be breaking it down because, the Flames have 3 left. Winnipeg has 4. And Winnipeg does play Nashville, who's still sniffing. They're still hanging around. But, it's more, I come back to it, and I pointed it out to you guys a couple weeks ago. They've got 15 overtime or shootout losses. You pick up a third of them, like just 5 points. You're in a playoff spot. Like, you look so much different. And if they've got 0 chance if they end up tying the Winnipeg Jets, because you look at regulation wins, they've got the same amount of regulation wins. I believe Ottawa and teams of that are out of the playoffs have more than the Calgary Flames.
Right.
Because they've gotten points, but they pissed away 15 points in overtime now you're not going to go 15-0 in overtime. But let's just say you're 30%, 40%. Take a look at those points that you've left on the table.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
And Hayes, you talk about it. You leave points against Chicago. Now, they'd won 4 in a row leading up to that, but that's a game that you need to have. And you could say, well, maybe the guys were looking ahead to the Winnipeg game, kind of sleeping on the Chicago game. You don't have the luxury to do that based on where you are in the standings. Nothing should be a gimme game. It's different Boston, Toronto, Tampa, the teams that are at the top. Vegas, Edmonton won again last night. That should have been a gimme game against Anaheim. If they lost last night, I don't think anybody would have really cared, given that they've been playing very well.
But they're chugging, and you knew they'd show up and win. That's what they did.
But that's Calgary, and I thought it was a good game. I thought Winnipeg played pretty hard. I thought Calgary played very hard, but the difference was the goaltender. I thought Markstrom was great.
Markstrom was really good, and again, I think if you're in Winnipeg, because they had been rolling prior to that game last night, you're sitting there saying, this is probably right, because this is what they've been doing for the last 3 months. Is finding a way to kind of shoot themselves in the foot and not make it easy on themselves.
Yep.
So, one of the teams is getting in, I think. It's Calgary or Winnipeg. It's just a matter of who wants it, and could it be a backdoor situation as opposed to just driving right through it?